Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to part 4 of the VFR engine rebuild series. What I'm going to do today is I'm going to remove the engine cases and the cam covers. So we're going to start with the cam covers, that's these here, and then go on to the engine cases, that's the alternator and the clutch covers there. So here we go. So what I'm going to do, this is a 10mm socket, and I'm just going to break these loose. That broke loose quite easily. That also broke loose quite easily. And that. Okay, and this one. Okay, so that's one of the bolts. Looks in good clean condition. I should be able to reuse these hopefully. Again, looks fine. Thread's in good condition, it's not dirty or rusty or anything. To loosen it up a bit, and that should now pull off. There we go. So that's oops, got one of those cloths stuck, so let's put that down on top of the spark plug. Right, so for the first time we see inside the engine. We've got the cam wheels here, got the cam shafts, you can see a cam lobe there. These obviously. So as you can see, I've turned the engine round, and next I'm going to remove the other engine cover, cam cover, sorry. So again, these are breaking loose quite easily. Again, the bolts from this side are quite good condition as well. In fact, that's actually better condition still. They're very clean, almost look like new bolts. Okay, so that's those 4 bolts out. So again, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give this a slight tap with a hammer. And hopefully that should break loose now. There we go. Right, so again, it's pulled one of the rags out, so let's put that back in. That's the cover. Looks fine, looks good. Happy with that. Obviously there's a gasket on there that'll need to come off when it's time to put it back on again. But I'll leave that for the moment. that can be done later. Right, so, and again, here we have the internals of the engine. So we've got cam wheel, cam cogs, we've got the camshafts, lobes, brackets, and all the rest of it. All looks quite good, really, quite kind of clean. Don't really see any issues there. So far so good. Okay, so next I'm going to remove the clutch cover. This is the clutch cover here. This is also the pulse generator cover. It's all in one cover, which makes it a bit simpler. These bolts here, uses the same size of bolt all the way around. It's an 8mm bolt, so I've got an 8mm socket here with an extension bar and the ratchet. I'm just going to go ahead and break these loose. All of these are breaking loose quite easily. Once I've broken them all loose, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go around and slacken them all using just the extension bar on its own without the ratchet, as that'll be quicker and easier. Same technique that I pretty much always use. Okay, that one was out already. That was removed when we removed the bracket that was holding one of those wires on, so that's why that one's not there. So I'm just going to go around and take them all out now. Right, so that's all the bolts out. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to see if it'll just pull off. Okay, so it's not going to just pull off. So what I'm going to do again is I'm just going to give it a very light tap with the rubber mallet just to loosen it off a bit. Okay, I don't think the rubber mallet's going to do it, so what I'm going to need to do is I'm going to need to use some of these pry points to pry it off. There are several pry points here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a screwdriver and we'll do that. Right, so I've been having some difficulty getting this engine case off, and I've just done exactly what you're never supposed to do. So don't do this at home, kids. Do as I say, not as I do. Never try to pry an engine case loose with a screwdriver, because you can damage it. But what I've done is I've pried it loose with a screwdriver, and as you can see, I've used the pulse generator, the rubber bit grommet that goes around the pulse generator, as a kind of way in to get the screwdriver in. Just tapped it in gently with the rubber mallet, and what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try to just pry it loose, and hopefully it should, as long as I use the pry points, it should come apart without doing it any damage, hopefully. That's what I'm hoping. Right, so that's coming away a bit of this side, at the right hand side. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try a bit at the left hand side, so that I'm not putting any strain on those dowels that are still partly holding it in place. So that's just loosening, just easing it apart very carefully. You just have to be very gentle with engine cases because they are made of alloy like the engine, and they can damage. Right, there we go. So that is the engine case. You can see the paper gasket. It's quite clean. There's the pulse generator. Pulse generator looks quite good condition. And there are the wheels for the, I think, the oil pump. We'll find out later exactly what that's for. So I'm just going to put that to one side, and we can now see into the engine. So we've got the clutch here. Again, just a kind of at a glance, clutch looks good. And we've got the primary drive gears here. All looks pretty good. No sign of any damage. Don't think I've really done any damage here. I think it's really the gasket that's taken the brunt of the impact of the screwdriver. Obviously all that paper gasket residue will have to be cleaned off, but that's fine. I can do that all in good time. So it all looks pretty good. So next I'm going to go on to the other side. Now I'm going to take the alternator cover off. So I'm just going to break these loose. Broken loose quite easily. Right, now I'm just going to spin them out. Right, so that's all the bolts out. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to try and break this loose. So I'm just going to give it a little tap with the rubber mallet. Okay, that's just starting to come loose now. So I'm just going to very carefully pry that at a few different points with the screwdriver. Ease it apart, being careful not to damage the surfaces. Okay, so that's just starting to come off just now. Just see if we can pull that off now. There we go. And of course the excuse me, the magnet is holding it on. Right, so that's the alternator. Doesn't look too bad. A bit oily, obviously. The wiring into the alternator, and obviously there's a gasket around here and some gasket material left on this surface, but all of that can be cleaned off. So that should be fine. So that's the magnetic ring on the end of the crankshaft. So that seems to be fine. So what we'll do at this stage is we'll just turn the engine over a bit and see that it turns over fine. Don't see why it shouldn't, but we'll just give it a try anyway. So you can hear the compression strokes there. Okay, so it does seem to turn over fine. So far so good. Well, thanks very much for watching this video. If you liked it, please comment, like, subscribe, and most importantly, share it with as many people as possible. That's great. Thanks very much for watching. Bye.